Hello, everybody. I hope you're well and welcome back to Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa. How is everybody doing today? The seasons are changing. Happy September, everyone. I did not realize that my last episode would be uploaded on September 1st. By the way, how satisfying. New Voicenotes episode, and it's a Monday, and it's September 1st, and it's the change of the seasons. Yeah. And usually I'm very like, oh, it's like still, September is basically summer in the UK, but the weather's really turned and it's basically raining every single day. It's supposed to rain on the day of waterworks, and I'm not going to lie. Like, I've had so much festival fun this year that I'm like, if it's due to rain, I might not go. But honestly, like, again, I love the hot weather. You guys know how much I love the hot weather, but not feeling too mad about it because my toenail literally just fell off. Guys, luckily it wasn't so I know what went wrong. Is this too much information? I hope not. But basically, it's my second toe now, and I stubbed it and basically like ripped it off like 4 months ago. And then I kept going to get pedicures and they just kept gluing it down with nail glue, which I'm sure any doctors that are listening, any nurses, any like, beauticians are probably thinking like, oh my God, like, please do not do that. That's probably so dangerous. But anyways, you live and you learn. So they were gluing it down, and then, it literally just came off now. It's fine because I'm not getting my toes out anymore because it's too cold, because it's raining. It could like go into hibernation and grow back. Shall I go I think I might have to go to the nail place and get an acrylic put on it. I think I might have to, because like there are people in my life that see my feet now. Like there actually is. So like oh God, I'm going to go get an acrylic put on it, guys. But it's okay. It actually really didn't hurt at all. And honestly, it was kind of a relief because like I was literally thinking, it's going to fall off. It's going to fall off. It fell off. Sorry, this is really, really gross. But I just want to say happy September. The seasons are changing, and I really love the amount of people that see September as this fresh start. I think it makes a lot of sense because it's the change from, summer is obviously this really big sort of like party time and you're going on holidays and like summer's the fun. And then like autumn and winter, you sort of start locking in a little bit, you start winding down. And, again, it's a change of season. It's a bit slower. It's a bit colder. You want to stay in more. So it's just a better environment to have a little refresh, to have a little start over. And also it like coincides with the school year because like in the UK, our school years start in September. So it makes a lot more sense in my brain for the fresh start to be September rather than January, which is the new year. To be fair, I never particularly prescribe to like New Year's or resolutions or like fresh start, stuff like that. I find that I'm interested to know if any of you guys are like this. I find that like the concepts of like fresh starts and like buying new stationery, buying a new journal, all of this, I just find that it just doesn't work for me and I end up wasting money. I know that sounds so stupid, but like I think that when I try to set in this new routine and make these changes, I find it too overwhelming and then I give it all up. And then, I will say, doing stuff like buying a new journal, buying stationery is a good motivator, but something that I have found is like very slowly implementing changes into my life sort of throughout the year is what personally works in my brain more. Like 75 hard, I could never. But I will say I'm definitely not averse to seeing September as a little bit of a fresh start. I think it's good to give your head a bit of a wobble and to be like, okay, you've had your fun. Now it's time to lock in, babes. But not only that, like I view September as like my sort of personal fresh start because, oh my God, lies. I'm not like the other girl. Sorry, me trying to make September being a fresh start unique. I'm only joking. But, last September, I sort of see this month as like the 1 year anniversary of me starting my life again. I know it sounds so stupid, but you guys will know I went through a breakup last year and I was still living in the same flat that we were living in, the same area. And then in September, I moved into my new area, into my new place. And to be fair, it was the end of August, but then I'd like settled in a bit in September. So I remember just last year, it all just felt so, I'm still very excited, but it was so exciting and it was such a novelty. And I was just so excited to wake up every day. I was so excited to go to work. I was so excited to come back to my beautiful bedroom. Like it was just, and it was like I was experiencing all of these exciting things for the first time. So like I was experiencing having my own bedroom. I was experiencing you know, living life independently, having all of this time to myself. Like it was just a very exciting time for me. So whenever I'm a real anniversaries girl. Like you guys know, I celebrate my recovery anniversary in January from when I was mentally ill. But I also I'm not celebrating the anniversary, that's a bit much, but I have a little acknowledgement in my head that I'm like, oh, it's been 1 year since I started my life again, and that makes me so happy. But anyways, what did I get up to last weekend? As I told you guys, I was having a foodie weekend. Foodie weekend success, smash hit. Devonshire, wow, what a place, number one. Number two, went to Babsang, which, remember, so I had lunch at the Devonshire at 2, I had dinner at Babsang at 8, and my mum kept saying, Jordan, you're going to be too full. You're going to be too full. I was like, Mum, 5 hours. I'll be fine. Guys, I was too full. Luckily, I was with someone who was like, he could more than happily, like, it was one of those where I was sort of eating out of politeness and then being like, no, please, have it. And I'm sure he ate more than he realized, but he polished it off, so it was absolutely fine. But anyways, yeah, so, but I'm sure what you guys are really wondering is, how did the sandwich evening go? If you didn't listen to my last episode, me and my stepdad and my mum were doing a sandwich making night because my stepdad had this dream of opening a sandwich shop, and then he made a bunch of sandwiches for my sister's birthday a few weeks ago, and it was so stressful that his dream of being a sandwich maker and like his passion for sandwiches was slightly crushed in the process. So I wanted to reinvigorate that spark, that light, that love for sandwiches. So I went over there and we were having a little sandwich making day. And what did I put in my for the sandwich making evening? We did mortadella, salami, seasoned like little rocket salad, tomatoes. I made a pesto mayo, by the way, which if you don't know, get to know. Literally, it's mayo, spoonful of pesto, give it a mix, perfect. And then the key was, my mum has this, what I can only describe as an incredible device. And it is called a Ninja Crispy. And guys, so basically it's a portable air fryer. It's a very, very small air fryer. I've never gotten onto the air fryer hype because I just think they are so clunky. And to be fair, I live in a pretty big flat, but I do have limited space and I'm not wasting it on an air fryer, which I'm going to use once a month. The Ninja Crispy, on the other hand, guys, it was so good. The bread was so crispy. Oh, what cheese did we put in there? We put in Emmental, and we put in mozzarella. Oh, guys, it was so good. And it was so filling as well. Need to do that again. But yes. And then this week, again, it's just been a nice, relaxed week. I've been doing work. I've been working on my review of Materialist. And that video is very excitingly sponsored by Vinted. I know. Don't gas me up. I know. I'm literally wearing something I got from Vinted today and they're sponsoring my next main channel video. What? And what am I up to this weekend? So I'm having a very, very chilled one. Again, we're winding down. It's the end of festival season. It's the end of party season. It's the end of holiday season. And that's fine by me. That's fine. I've had my fun. I'm going to miss her. But you can't be doing festivals all year round. It's too much. But I am going to have a very chilled one this weekend. I'm going to go into my office on Saturday to get some proper writing done because I've been trying to write without my ADHD medication because my ADHD medication has been giving me anxiety. But yes, I'm working at a slower pace, which means I want to go into the office on a Saturday, get some writing done, lock in, get a good chunk of work done. Tomorrow I am co-working with my friend Ruby. We do like co-working Fridays, like I probably say every other Friday, and it is truly the highlight of my month. It is so exciting. It's so stupid. I'm so excited for it. Because I work alone, it's really nice to work with someone else. And I found that with co-working, you can't do it with everyone. For example, me and Jack, we cannot co-work together. The last time we tried to co-work together, we ended up on someone he went to schools with, Facebook's contracting company for the buildings that he works on. Like, do you know, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, we cannot work together. So, me and my friend Herbie, we also can't really work together. Me, Herbie, and Kim, we tried to do a co-working day once. But the one of the very few people that I can work with is Ruby. And I think it's because she has ADHD as well. So, like, we both just go, like, we, like, hold each other accountable. We do, like, a little bit of talking. And then we go, like, okay, we're working now. And it just works perfectly. And then we usually go shopping after. So, I want to go shopping after. Guys, I've been shopping I've shopped till I dropped recently. Again, I'm going to do a haul on TikTok. I really need to do a haul, but my trousers are at the tailor's. There's a few bits on the way, but if you do want to see what outfits I'm wearing, follow me on Instagram, which is where I'm most active, at Jordan Theresa. I also post my outfits of the day on my Substack as well, like the Substack notes, and then also follow me on TikTok, which is also at Jordan Theresa. But yes, me and Ruby are co-working tomorrow, and then I have got an evening barbecue afterwards, random but fun. What the hell? Sure, fun. Love to see my friends. I'm gonna go work on Saturday. Got my sister's birthday dinner on Saturday night. Honestly, I feel like I've been celebrating my sister's birthday for over a month, but she's turning 30, so I will let her off. And I've got another just chilled one on Sunday. We're chilling. We are chilling. So I feel like I'm being dead vibes today, but I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I've been up since like 4:30. And I'm just really sleepy, but it's fine. And I'm actually, so I'm not sure whether I tell you guys this, but I always record these episodes before I go to therapy. But my therapist has been away for August, been off for the month, off for the summer holidays, and I'm seeing him for the first time today, and I'm very excited. Oh, this is the thing. The post-August September debrief for my therapist hits different. I know he's looking forward to seeing me. This is the issue. I feel like everyone who goes to therapy is convinced that they're their therapist's favorite client. And I need to let that go. And shall we do, annoyingly, I don't have thoughts of the week. I think I need to hold myself accountable for doing my thoughts of the week, but I really have had nothing. I've had absolutely nothing, and I never ever want to force a thought of the week. But I've got a little set of the week that I've been listening to. I've been listening to Octa's Deck Mantle 2023 set. Very, very good. Bouncy, electronic-y, fun, a perfect amount of piano house. The only thing I wish was a bit faster, but also like I just like everything at a quite high BPM. So I can't hold another DJ accountable for not going at the BPM that I wish. I've just listened to a faster set, Jordan. God. That is a great set. It's on SoundCloud. Highly recommend. I've got a ton of sets saved on my YouTube downloads. I'm going to listen. I'm going to take it all in so we can, guys, I'm going to learn to DJ. I know I've been saying, oh, I want to learn. I'm going to get a set of decks. Guys, I think I'm actually going to learn. Because I have a source. I found a teacher and he's going to do it for me for free. All he's asking for is my company. Like, hey! Like, this is it, guys. This is it. I don't know. Like, he has, like, already said to me, send me a playlist. Send me the songs you want to download. I will, like, get the website. I'll load up the USB for you. Work smart, not hard. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. So you will be seeing my DJ era. I'm not even joking, guys. I haven't DJed in like well over a year. So I've got no idea whether I'm going to be any good or not, but I'm not actually trademarking, this is a joke, but I'm unofficially trademarking just for fun. That is going to be my DJ name. And also, I was talking who was I talking to this about? I can't remember who I was talking to this about, but they pointed out that, so my username and like my stage name is Jordan Theresa, but my actual real last name begins with an F. So J4, because it's going to be like just and then 4, like the number 4, fun, and J4F. That is literally my name, just for fun. Guys, it's meant to be. But yes, I will keep you guys updated on my DJ journey. Again, I'll probably keep it all updated on my TikTok and my Instagram. So make sure you go follow me on there. And hopefully within the next, I don't know, like couple of months or something, I'll like record a set and I'll upload it onto SoundCloud and you guys can listen to it. Because you guys know me, I just love music. I love music so much. I love dancing. I love boogieing. And like the messages that I get, guys, of like you guys leaving comments saying that you went to go see this DJ because of me. I often get it about DJ Heartstring. Someone came up to me at All Points East and was like, I'm here because of you. Like you introduced me to DJ Heartstring. I was like, oh my God. Like it makes me, the happiness that fills my body is totally unmatched. But that's been my set of the week. Some other music I've actually been listening to is, guys, Blood Orange's new album is so good. I love me some Blood Orange. I love me some Blood Orange. Blood Orange is perfect music to work to as well. It's like so peaceful, so serene, so at peace, so peaceful. But like it's really good to work to because it's like incredible background noise, but it's like not too distracting either. But I do find myself getting like low-key lost in the music, but would highly recommend listening to Blood Orange's new album. Shall we do a little outfit of the day? So outfit of the day is, I feel like this is like me who's never worked in an office before. I feel like I'd wear this outfit to the office. This is my little corporate core outfit, but so the top is Vinted. It is actually old label Zara. Like, how nice this top. It was £3 and it's like, by old label Zara, I mean it's like got the old Zara label in it, which means it must be from at least like over 5 years ago. And this is the thing, is that brands like Zara, Topshop, River Island, pre-2017 had such good quality clothing. So if you ever want to look for like good quality make sure it's secondhand gems, absolutely search for brands like, old label Zara, Topshop, River Island, etc. But this is my Zara top from Vinted. And then these are my favorite suit trousers. They are from Next and they were too big and I got them tailored. So they've got like this like low crotch moment. I feel very fashiony in these. But yes, love my outfit. It's very cute. It feels very, very corporate. I'm a corporate babe today, guys. And if you do, I say this at the beginning of all of my episodes, but if you do find yourself wanting some more voice notes content, we are over on Substack. So if you go over to Substack, Voicenotes with JordanTheresa.substack.com, you can read all of the articles which go alongside these episodes. And if you want to become a paid subscriber, there are bonus episodes, monthly lives, and an exclusive group chat. But yes, and before we properly get into today's episode, I just want to thank NoCD for sponsoring today's video. Just over 3 years ago now, I've spoken very openly about this time of my life, but just over 3 years ago, I used to spend every single night spiraling, overthinking with really horrible thoughts. I overthought every single thing I did that day. I was so worried that I did something wrong, or that I did something to hurt someone's feelings, or that I upset someone, or that I said something bad. I was so convinced that I had done something that day to upset someone, even if there was no sign that I had done that. I thought that I was a bad person and I would have done anything to switch my brain off because these unwanted, intrusive thoughts were so paralyzing. And it turns out I actually had OCD, and I had no idea that I had OCD because of the stereotypes within media. OCD is a highly misunderstood and stigmatized mental illness, and because of this, so many people suffer in silence without even realizing that they actually have OCD. What makes OCD particularly brutal is the fact that your OCD will send you unwanted, intrusive, disturbing thoughts about the things that matter to you the most. Your safety, your loved ones, your morals. And then your OCD almost tricks you in a way to start doing actions to make these thoughts go away. So it can be compulsive rituals, which is what I do. Asking for reassurance is a really common one. I also used to do that and still sometimes fall into that pattern. Or even just trying to think your way out of the anxiety. But the more you think about these thoughts, the more energy you give them, the more you engage with them, the more powerful your OCD becomes. OCD can take over every part of your life, but it doesn't have to, because OCD is highly treatable with the right kind of therapy. Specialized therapy is recommended to treat OCD, especially ERP therapy, which stands for exposure and response prevention, and is proven to be one of the most effective treatments for OCD. And that's where NoCD comes in. I want to make it very clear, I've worked with NoCD many times before, and I always disclaim this. NoCD is not a service which I have personally used. I've been working with my own therapist for nearly 4 years now, but obviously, you guys know when it comes to things regarding OCD and mental health, I really do take these kinds of partnerships very seriously, and I do my research and I make sure that I'm recommending a reputable service for you guys that has gotten good reviews and is legit, because OCD treatment is not something that I take lightly at all. NoCD are the world's leading provider of OCD treatment, and all of their therapists specialize in treating OCD with ERP. NoCD therapists work with you in live face-to-face virtual sessions, and they're available in the UK and many other countries. They're trained to deeply understand all the different ways OCD can show up so you can share your most difficult thoughts without any fear of judgment. That was something that I really, really struggled with in the depths of my OCD, and why it took me such a long time to get help was because I just felt so ashamed, and I felt like even a therapist, I felt like, oh, they're just not going to understand, even though they will. And they know how to help you manage your symptoms so you can live a life without OCD in control. NoCD also provides support between sessions, so you're never on your own. If any of this sounds familiar, click the link in the description or go to nocd.com to book a free call with the team today. That's nocd.com. Thank you so much again, NoCD, for sponsoring today's episode. The right help can really change everything. So, in today's episode of Voice Notes with Jordan Theresa, we're going to talk about Love is Blind. Yeah. The girls, you've been begging for this. Understandably. Love is Blind as a show is it's a feast to talk about. It's a little too good, but we're going to be talking about Love is Blind today. We're going to be talking about Love is Blind and manufacturing intimacy and the shortcomings of the concept of the show and why I feel like it fails. The second season wrapped on Sunday, the reunion episode aired, and there was a lot of things that came to light during that reunion episode, and I just want to chat about it with you guys. I've spoken about Love is Blind a lot within my content. I did a recap of season 1 over on my main channel. I've also discussed the show's weaponization of marriage in a previous episode of Voicenotes. Love is Blind is one of the most successful Netflix reality shows to date. It aired its first season, which was a US season, in 2020 and has now become a global franchise. I will say it did arrive to the UK a little late, considering that it was such a smash hit in 2020. The first season aired in the UK in 2024, so 4 years later. And I will say, I don't know whether it's because I'm a little tapped out of reality TV at the moment, but I have found that by last year, I wasn't that engaged with the US Love is Blind, but I was obviously willing to give the Love is Blind UK a shot. So in today's episode, I don't want to necessarily go through this entire previous season beat by beat, do a recap, share my opinions, because number one, this season was low-key really boring. But number two, it can be a little isolating for people who haven't watched the show, especially in a podcast format, because there aren't really loads of pictures, there's not really a lot of visual aid. It's going to be difficult to follow along if you haven't watched the show, but I am going to be using season 2 as a jumping off point to air a lot of my thoughts about the show and essentially discuss the format of the show and why it doesn't work. I want to explore how the participants in these shows manufacture intimacy with their partners that they have known for mere weeks, and why these relationships seemingly fail every single time. I am going to be using this Love is Blind UK season as a jumping off point, but I also will be referencing Love is Blind US because I think that there is a real difference in the way that Love is Blind US and UK are received. And I think that Love is Blind UK is received a lot more negatively over here. And I think a lot of that has to do with cultural differences, which I'm also going to get into. I won't be discussing the ethical violations which have been levied against the show by former contestants, because I covered that in my last video essay about the ethics of reality TV. So check that out if you want to know more. All of these past episodes and videos are going to be linked down below. And there are so many videos on YouTube about the active lawsuits against the production of Love is Blind, which I will also leave linked down below. But for anyone who doesn't know the premise, so anyone who's not in the know with Love is Blind, I'm not even going to be like, if you've been living under a rock, because to be honest, I don't think that you're missing out on that much, apart from season 1 US, which we're going to get into in a second. But the premise of the show is that 15 men and 15 women date each other sight unseen. Sorry, that was what the line that Nick and Vanessa Lachey, who present the American version, always say. They always say, "Can you fall in love? Sight unseen." It's so camp. 15 single men and single women date each other in pods where they can only hear each other's voices. They can't see the way each other looks. And the entire premise of the show is trying to answer the question, is love blind? Love is blind. But There are a lot of aspects that are added to this show because it's not just dating in a pod and then coming out and seeing if you like the way each other looks, see if you're going to continue dating. No. These contestants propose to each other. They propose to each other and then they have an engagement period of 4 weeks and then they walk down the aisle and they either say I do or I don't. And reality TV marriages are not even, I mean, they are controversial, but you know, they can be a little murky because it's not super clear which reality shows are actually truly marrying their contestants and which ones aren't. So for example, Married at First Sight, all of the versions, UK, Australia, those are fake weddings. They're not real weddings. Even the sort of wedding that they do at the end is a fake wedding. So it's really interesting that in Love is Blind, these weddings are 100% real. Like, that is absolutely fascinating to me. I was always curious about the Love is Blind timeline, so I did a little bit of research, and the dating process takes place over 10 days, and when a couple wants to take it to the next level, they will then propose to each other sight unseen. Sorry, I need to stop saying that. And then there is the reveal after the proposal, and this commences the 4-week countdown until the wedding day. There is a 1-week-long couples retreat. This is where they meet all of the other couples and the other people they potentially dated in the pods. They then live together for 3 weeks. They get their phones back. And this is all in the lead up to the wedding day. And on the wedding day, and apparently they sign in their contract that they have to say, I wait to reject the person at the altar. And they say, I do or I don't. Before we get into whether I enjoyed Love is Blind UK, my thoughts on it, firstly, I want to discuss the first ever season of Love is Blind, which is Love is Blind US. It aired in 2020, but I watched it for the first time in 2021. And I just want to say, on a TV level, I'm not talking on an ethical level, I'm talking on a TV level, it was absolutely fantastic TV. I think a lot of the first seasons of very successful reality shows tend to suffer from this lightning in a bottle phenomenon because it's the first season, the contestants who enter have no idea the potential of how big this thing can be, leading to not only more people going on the show for very authentic reasons, but it also leads to people behaving more authentically on camera because they aren't aware of the audience, because they don't even know if there's going to be a big audience for this show or not. And also because the show is a new concept, it doesn't feel repetitive yet. You're not noticing any casting tropes because there aren't any. I will say with Love is Blind US, I found myself getting bored because I just felt the format and the casting was getting a bit repetitive. But also, I probably enjoyed watching Love is Blind more a few years ago because I was in a relationship. I don't know whether you guys get like this, but I find watching reality TV by myself quite boring. What I love about reality TV is the communal aspect of it. I love watching it with my housemate, going out and then discussing it with friends, even like when, you know, you go to see a beautician or you go see your nail lady and you go, oh, you're watching Love Island. Da, da, da. It's common ground. It gives you something to talk about. It's very communal. And I find that Netflix shows that drop their episodes in batches, there just isn't that same camaraderie as with a show like Love Island, which airs every day for 2 months. So I think I find like watching reality shows by myself just isn't superly my thing as much as I watch a lot of reality TV for work. But we're going to be talking about my first issue with Love is Blind, and that is the premise. It all leads back to the title, right? Love is Blind. The whole premise and concept of the show is answering the question of, is love truly blind? Can you fall in love? She's going to say it. Sight unseen. You know, the concept of this show, it seems that it was born from a rejection of our image-based society, a rejection specifically of dating apps. In every sort of contestant introduction, when the presenters walk into the women's quarters and the men's quarters, at least one of them will cite that they don't like dating apps. They don't like how everyone is so image obsessed. Yet, in spite of this, they only cast conventionally attractive people, very conventionally attractive people, especially in the UK one. I was like, where are the stakes? Everyone's fit. I feel like, and again, I will say in the US version, they also do cast mostly conventionally attractive people. But I found with the first season, they did mix it up a little bit. None of these people made it into the like engagement stage. But I remember there was a guy there that was a virgin. There was a guy there that I think was around below 5'6". So do you know what I mean? Things like that that really challenge. It doesn't, it's difficult because I understand why, especially in the UK, they only want to cast conventionally attractive people, because I've spoken about this before. In the UK, there has been so much tragedy around our reality shows that there has been a little bit of a reality TV reckoning in this country, where production companies are really, really thinking and factoring in the well-being of their contestants. So I can imagine that if they really did a mixed bag of people who are conventionally attractive and people who are a bit less attractive, it would be seen as cruel. And you know what? It would be cruel, to be fair, but it doesn't necessarily have to be as simple as people who are, you know, it feels really crass speaking about it this way, but people who are conventionally attractive and people who are conventionally unattractive. Like in the first season of the US, it can be someone who's a virgin, it could be someone who's a bit short, etc. And again, this whole sort of idea of if they were to cast a mixture of conventionally attractive and unattractive people, that it would be seen as cruel. It does again raise the question of whether good reality TV can really exist ethically. Because the thing is, we've seen this unfold with Megan Fox gay. Oh my God, I forgot about this. I actually made a podcast episode about this. I discussed this in a podcast episode. God, it must have been about 2 years ago now. Basically, there was this contestant called Chelsea, and she said in the pods that people have told her that she looks like Megan Fox, and people really clowned her for this. And the funny thing is that she does actually look like Megan Fox, but Chelsea is a very conventionally attractive woman, but she got really, really cruelly dogpiled over this over this sort of like over Megan Fox gate. And it was the way it was positioned in the show. It was, it did feel really icky. It felt really cruel. They cut out the celebrity lookalike that the guy who asked her said that he looked like, then he didn't even look anything like him. And not only does this highlight the sort of cruelty of the production, but it also highlights the cruelty of the audience and fandom. I could make an entire episode about how fandom has killed criticism. I've seen a few videos floating around about that recently, and I think it's really interesting how fandom's killed anything, any sort of reality TV. Fandom has totally ruined it, because now people don't act authentically, because if they do and they misbehave, they have to be at the wrath of thousands of people who now have complete access to them to communicate with them and send them abuse. But if we just circle back to the premise, the show is not asking whether love is blind. The show is asking, would you marry someone after knowing them for 4 weeks? Because the show can't drum up drama via people's looks, because honestly, as we all know, that's quite cruel. They have to drum up the drama elsewhere. And this is where the most unnecessary part of Love is Blind comes in. The weddings of the show. I think that the, weddings and the marriage and the proposals are the most unnecessary part of this show. There's a reason why most couples who say no at the altar they cite the reasons of, we just need more time. We just need more time. I've spoken about in a previous podcast episode, but Love is Blind as a show really takes advantage of women's desires to get married. And again, as I mentioned earlier, these marriages are real. With Married at First Sight, those marriages are fake. The ones in Love is Blind are real. If it ends after a few weeks, they have to get a divorce. They have to become a divorcee. I'm sure some of you guys agree with me here. Being a divorcee is kind of chic. It's actually funny because I think being a fiancé and being a divorcee is chic. Being a wife, yawn. And, when it comes to Love is Blind, taking advantage of, a lot of women's deep desire and yearning for marriage and for a partner who loves them and to be able to start a family. There are a lot of gender imbalances in this show, I've noticed, which I think is very reflective of the dating scene in general, but we're going to get onto that in just a moment. I don't know how the UK version cast their show. I don't know how they do casting outreach. I couldn't find out anywhere, but in the US, they cast in a very interesting way. Whichever city city they choose, because Love is Blind US goes from city to city. They start casting within a 50-mile radius of that city, and they just do outreach to normal people. They don't do any actors and no influencers. You know, they want people going on that show for genuine reasons and people who genuinely want to get married. But as I mentioned earlier, the gender imbalances in the show, I think, are very reflective of the gender imbalances within the dating scene. There are simply just more women than men who genuinely want to and are willing to settle down, get married, start a family, etc. And I noticed that in both Love is Blind US and UK is that there seem to be following a sort of similar caste archetype between men and women. A lot of the women were women who really wanted to get married, find love, and quote unquote start their life, but have had bad luck / have been mistreated by men in the past or have never had a boyfriend before. Meanwhile, a lot of the men that go on the show also want to get married, find love, start a family. They seem to really crave that kind of companionship. Often they see, you know, the other men around them, maybe their siblings, their cousins, who their best mates, who have found that companionship and gotten married, and they want that for themselves. But they cite that they just haven't found the right person. They haven't found the right person. And I know that the casting archetypes between men and women sound very similar, but I do think that there is a difference. And again, I think this is reflective of the dating landscape. I think the women can't find someone who wants to settle down or someone who will treat them right / meet their standards. Meanwhile, I actually think a lot of these men have commitment issues from what it sounds like. They just can't find someone they want to settle down with. So can you see where the problems begin to arise? And I think the premise of this show and the promise of an accelerated relationship, of not having to put the years of work in, you know, a lot of contestants, especially the women, cite anxieties around their age, around running out of time, around, if I want to hit this step and have a child by this age and this age and this age, I have to get married right now. The promise that you can immediately start this life that you have been dreaming of, that you've been yearning for so long, without having to put the years of effort in, is really appealing to both the men and women who enter this show. It's appealing to the women who have struggled to find a man who wants to settle down, because they are literally dating 15 people who are all saying that they want to settle down, that they're ready for marriage. And I can imagine it's appealing to men who have commitment issues, men who just can't seem to find the right person, because not only is it forcing them to commit, but they get to role play married life for a month and see if it's for them. The only price they have to pay is that it's aired on TV for hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people to see. And I think this is where a lot of the issues with the show, you know, the reasons why these relationships seem to fail, begins to creep in, because I think a lot of these contestants conflate having shared values, wanting to get married, renovate a house, start a family, as the same as having an emotional connection with someone. I especially think as women, dating someone who actually wants to settle down can feel very refreshing, which I think adds to these very excitable and warm feelings, which makes you believe that you have an emotional connection with someone. When most of the time, this is going to sound really mean, I don't think these people have that particularly strong of an emotional connection with one another. They just like the same things in life and they get on well. And I don't think that equates to an emotional connection. And I especially think that that does not equate to compatibility. You know, I think there's a reason why on Love is Blind, we very rarely see the couples having genuine conversations with each other. Like, you know, just joking around. There's chemistry. We rarely see those conversations. Instead, all we see is conversations between them talking about how much of a strong couple they are, how much they have in common, how much of a strong connection they have. They're manufacturing intimacy. And it's because, and again, it's this conflation between having shared values and getting along well to having a deep emotional connection, and the two just aren't the same. You know, and again, this is going to sound really cruel. I do believe the couples who, you know, met on the show and have got married and have stayed together for a few years and then divorced, I believe they were obviously genuinely in love. I truly, truly do believe that. But I think that, you know, the couples who, you know, after dating each other for 10 days. And I know that they do spend hours and hours on end with each other, but I don't believe they've actually fallen in love. They just think they've fallen in love, especially because a lot of the people who go on this show say, you know, I've never been in a relationship before. I've never been in love. I've never had a partner. Not only are they experiencing a very sort of intense form of dating, and they're speaking about, you know, really intense things and shared goals like getting married and having children. And not just this, but they're on a reality show, which is a very intense environment. I think people conflate these like really intense emotional feelings that they have with one another to falling in love, and it's just not the case, guys. I'm sorry. And this point leads me on to Sarova and Cal. They were one of the couples from season 2 of Love is Blind who on the surface seemed like, oh, they are a, you know, surefire evidence that the experiment works, because they fell in love, their relationship was very smooth sailing, and then they got married, and then there was the reunion, and there was all these compilation clips of their happy married life. And then Emma Willis, who, by the way, ultimate diva, absolutely love her. She asked them, so how's married life? And Sarova goes, what married life? Guys. At the reunion, it was revealed that Cal very abruptly ended their marriage on the 2nd of January after spending Christmas with Sarova's family, and all of the couples got married in August. So the marriage didn't even last 6 months. And I can totally see where it went wrong for Sarova and Cal, and the shortcomings of the sort of Love is Blind method of, you know, trying to find a relationship. Both Sarova and Cal fell into the Love is Blind casting archetypes. Sarova was someone who wanted to get married, but I'm pretty sure she'd never had a boyfriend before, and couldn't find someone who wanted to commit, couldn't meet the right person, was struggling to meet anyone. Meanwhile, Cal wanted to get married, and he cites seeing how happy his brothers were in married life and how he wanted that for himself, but that he struggled to commit in the past. But this is regarding anybody who has commitment issues, not just men. When someone has commitment issues, the issue is never with the people that they're dating. The issues are with themselves. So you can put the perfect person in front of someone who has commitment issues, and it will not make them commit. They have to change and work on something within themselves. And again, it just seems like both of them, you know, almost fell for this and wanted to believe this promise of the show that they could find love, and it would be this sped run relationship, and it would be so simple, especially Cal. You know, I feel sorry for both parties, and I know it's going to be controversial, but I felt particularly sorry for Cal, because even though he was saying, so when people are asking him in the reunion, why did you break up with Sarova? What changed? You know, he's saying nothing changed. I just didn't want to be married anymore. It just wasn't right. She didn't do anything wrong. I will say he said some not very nice things where he was like, oh, sorry that I took you on a 5-star honeymoon. Yuck. But also you could tell that he was backed into a corner, and he was sort of just like being very defensive and attacking people. I genuinely felt sorry for him. It's very clear to me that Cal is someone who has commitment issues. When Cal asked his brother, do you think I'm going to do it? He was like, no, I don't think that you're going to marry her, because his brothers even knew that he had commitment issues. Cal is someone, it's very clear to me that he has, as I just said, it's very clear to me that Cal has commitment issues. And I think he thought he could override these issues with a fast-tracked relationship, and it just didn't work. And unfortunately, Sarova was caught in the crossfire of this, which was really, really horrible to have to watch how upset she was, how upset her mum was. Oh my God. It's interesting because I see a lot of fans of the show criticizing Cal, but I actually think we need to start turning our criticism onto the premise of the show and the production. Not only does, you know, the fandom and the awareness of the audience influence people's decisions of whether to say I do or I don't at the aisle, they don't want to be reviled or dogpiled online, but also the marriage aspect of this show is very unnecessary. The show never acknowledges its failures. The show casts people who are clearly not ready for marriage. And again, this is drama that needs to exist for good reality TV, which again raises the question, can reality TV ever exist ethically? But if we just circle back to the accelerated relationships of it all, I don't know about you guys, but with Love is Blind UK specifically, I found that the things that the contestants were saying and doing, and I'm talking, you know, the grand declarations of love, saying they're falling in love with each other, you know, the amazing connections that they have, it all felt really disingenuous. I will say there was something that was a bit off about this season of Love is Blind. I don't know whether the casting was just a bit off, but for me, something that did feel really off was even just the way it was shot. The sort of scenes where they entered back into the real world, they all just felt so overly produced, overly glossy. Sometimes I think reality TV shows employ cameras that are too high quality. Like you know what reality show has the best camera usage? Love Island, because I know they use a lot of drones, they use a lot of like built-in cameras, and you can tell, look, the quality still looks good, but that sort of ultra produced glossy finish on Love is Blind UK, it just didn't look good. It didn't sit right with me. It just made the show feel a bit off. But what the contestants were saying in regards to their relationships, you know, saying I'm falling in love and I want to spend the rest of my life with you and the experiment works and we have such an amazing connection, it all felt so disingenuous. And I really wanted to question why I felt this way, because it felt particularly like with Love is Blind US, you know, it would depend on contestant to contestant, right? I'd be like, that contestant, you're being genuine. The other contestant, you're not being genuine. Every single contestant in Love is Blind UK, I was like, this doesn't feel genuine. This feels really disingenuous. This feels really weird. And I have, you know, read many reviews and I've discussed this with friends, and a lot of people, myself included, chalk this up to a cultural difference between the US and the UK. I've discussed this before, but there is a deeply entrenched culture of shame in the UK. Not just this, but you know, we're a country, we're a culture that like, people really keep themselves to themselves. There is a culture of minding your own business. You know, British culture is very to the book. Going against the grain is not pedestaled in this country, unlike in others. You know, being loud and vocal, especially about your feelings, is also not the norm in this country. So when you turn on a show like Love is Blind, where contestants are confessing their deep love and vulnerabilities to each other after only knowing each other for days, not only does it turn a British audience off, but it doesn't feel genuine. And I'm really, and this is the thing, is that Brits will watch US shows, but Americans won't watch British shows. So if Love is Blind UK isn't going to be watched by a British audience, it probably isn't going to be watched by anyone else. And you know, the point that I'm going to finish this episode off on is so many relationships which are built in dating shows fail because they're being built in a very manufactured environment. So many contestants cite entering the real world as such a shock, you know, like going on a show like Love Island where you spend every single day building this relationship with someone, then all of a sudden not only are you some of the most famous people in the country, but you also live on opposite ends of the country and you're also now really busy with work, so you better have time to spend with each other. You can see how things begin to fall apart. But with Love is Blind, it's really interesting because they almost give them a test run of normal life, which is that 3 weeks engagement where they get their phones back, they go to work, they live together. And even then, it's so interesting to see how the reality only really hit these men who decide to end their marriages after the cameras were off. Like, that is absolutely fascinating to me because, again, even when you've got your phone, even when you're going to work, it isn't real life. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I've been wanting to chat about Love is Blind for ages. It's all been on the tip of my tongue, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Sorry it's a bit of a short one. I'm a little bit sleepy today, but yeah, I am going to head and I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to yap my little heart out. But yes, I'll see you guys next week for another episode. Bye!